For decades, researchers from various fields, including psychology, sociology, and economics, have been deeply interested in understanding the patterns of human happiness across the lifespan. And what they consistently found was a striking and seemingly universal pattern, a U-shaped curve. To visualize this, picture a graph. Happiness, or subjective well-being, is plotted on the vertical axis, representing the degree of contentment. Age is on the horizontal axis, marking the passage of time from youth to old age. The resulting line, when you plot the average happiness levels at each age, forms a gentle smile, or an upward-facing U-shape. People start out relatively happy in their youth, often experiencing high levels of optimism and life satisfaction, then experience a dip in midlife, a period often marked by increased stress and decreased overall happiness, before finally experiencing a rise again in older age, often surpassing the happiness levels of midlife. What's truly remarkable is that this pattern held true across 132 countries, spanning diverse cultures, economic systems, and social structures. Even more surprisingly, the U-curve has been observed in great apes, our close evolutionary relatives, suggesting that this pattern isn't just a product of modern human society, but rather a reflection of a deep biological rhythm. The midlife dip, while unpleasant, seemed to make sense to many researchers, with the increased stress, heightened responsibility, and the confrontation of existential questions that often accompany this stage of life. But the comforting promise was that happiness would eventually rebound as people aged, offering a light at the end of the tunnel, with older adults reporting more contentment, greater emotional regulation, and less stress compared to their middle-aged counterparts. This U-curve, therefore, became the accepted map, the dominant framework for understanding how happiness typically unfolds across the human lifespan. Youth was seen as a time of inherent resilience, natural joy, and boundless potential, with the assumption that the major struggles and challenges were something to be expected later in life. Consequently, society often focused its mental health support and resources primarily on middle age, operating under the assumption that young people, with their inherent resilience, didn't need as much help or intervention. But the crucial thing to understand is that this map, this long-held belief, is now outdated. The emotional landscape of life, the very ground upon which we build our understanding of happiness, is shifting beneath our feet. The old story, the traditional narrative of happiness peaking in youth, dipping in midlife, and then returning in old age, simply no longer fits today's reality, the lived experiences of many individuals in our modern world. So, the critical question we need to ask ourselves is, what's changed in our society, in our lives, that has caused this fundamental shift in the happiness curve? In recent years, the U-shaped curve of happiness has broken down. Studies now show young adulthood is often the least happy time of life, not the peak. In 82 countries, life satisfaction starts low for young people and only rises with age. The so-called midlife crisis is being replaced by a quarter-life crisis, anxiety and unhappiness hitting people in their late teens and 20s. The old promise of a carefree youth has vanished for many. This shift affects education, jobs, relationships, and the foundation of adult life. The question isn't just what's happening, but why is it happening now? What's behind this dramatic reversal in youth well-being? The data is clear. Young people aren't just less happy. They're experiencing a surge in despair. Reports of poor mental health days among youth have skyrocketed, especially since the mid-2010s global organizations like the WHO and CDC confirm rising rates of anxiety, depression, and self-harm among adolescents. Young women are especially affected, with sharp increases in mental distress. This isn't just more openness about feelings, it's a real, measurable crisis. Emergency room visits for self-harm among teens have soared. The traditional optimism and social bonds of youth are eroding. The urgent question, what's driving this global decline in youth mental health? The strongest suspect? The rise of smartphones and social media. The timeline matches. As social media use exploded in the early 2010s, youth well-being plummeted. Teens spending 5 or more hours a day online are far more likely to be depressed, especially girls. Nearly half of U.S. teens say social media makes them feel worse about their lives. Heavy screen time crowds out real-world activities that build resilience: face-to-face interaction, exercise, sleep. Social media platforms are engineered to be addictive, fueling endless comparison and insecurity. Girls, in particular, face relentless appearance-based comparison on visual platforms like Instagram and TikTok. The pressure to present a perfect life online is overwhelming. Instead of connection, many experience isolation and anxiety. The digital world, once full of promise, is now a major source of distress. It's not just statistics and expert opinions that paint this picture. Young people themselves confirm what the data shows. They are living and breathing this digital world, and their experiences offer invaluable insights. We need to listen to their voices, understand their struggles, and acknowledge the challenges they face navigating the complexities of social media. Surveys reveal that image-focused platforms, the ones prioritizing visual content and often promoting unrealistic ideals, are consistently rated most harmful to mental health. This isn't just a casual observation, it's a recurring theme in studies examining the impact of social media on well-being. Common complaints: anxiety, a pervasive feeling of unease and worry that can be triggered by constant comparison, and the pressure to maintain a perfect online persona. Depression, a more profound and debilitating state of sadness and hopelessness, often fueled by feelings of inadequacy and social isolation. Poor sleep, a consequence of the constant stimulation and blue light emitted by screens, disrupting natural sleep patterns and leaving young people feeling exhausted. Negative body image, a distorted perception of one's own physical appearance, often exacerbated by the unrealistic and heavily filtered images prevalent on social media. Cyberbullying, a form of harassment and intimidation that takes place online, often leaving victims feeling vulnerable, exposed, and emotionally scarred. And loneliness. Despite being constantly connected, many young people feel profoundly isolated, craving genuine connection and meaningful relationships. FOMO, fear of missing out, is a constant, a nagging feeling that everyone else is having more fun, experiencing more exciting things, and living a better life. Fueled by endless streams of others' highlight reels, carefully curated snapshots that rarely reflect the full reality of their lives. The pressure to look and live a certain way is relentless, a constant barrage of images and messages that reinforce narrow and often unattainable standards, leading to self-doubt and even self-loathing. This constant comparison can erode self-esteem and create a deep sense of inadequacy. Social media brings unattainable beauty standards, often digitally enhanced and heavily filtered, into every moment of daily life, blurring the lines between reality and fantasy, and making it increasingly difficult to accept oneself. Many young people struggle with sleep, their minds racing with thoughts and anxieties fueled by their online experiences. Staying up late scrolling, unable to switch off, caught in a cycle of endless content and notifications. Poor sleep and anxiety feed each other in a vicious cycle, creating a downward spiral that can be difficult to break free from. These aren't abstract issues. They're not just theoretical concerns or academic debates. They're the daily reality for a generation grappling with unprecedented levels of digital saturation and its impact on their mental well-being. Growing up in the shadow of the algorithm, constantly bombarded with information and influences that shape their perceptions and behaviors. The digital landscape is shaping self-worth and mental health in profound ways, leaving an indelible mark on the lives of young people and demanding our attention and action. The path to adulthood has changed dramatically. Traditional milestones, finishing school, moving out, stable jobs, starting families, are delayed or out of reach for many. Economic pressures, student debt, and a precarious job market make independence harder than ever. Many young adults live with parents well into their 20s or 30s. This prolonged in-between phase creates uncertainty and a sense of being stuck. The old script for adulthood is gone, but a new one hasn't emerged. It's not laziness. It's a reflection of a world that's less stable and more competitive. The gap between expectations and reality is growing, fueling stress and frustration. Social media has raised expectations to impossible heights. Young people compare themselves to global superstars, not just their neighbors. Meanwhile, economic realities make traditional success harder to achieve. The gap between online ideals and real life creates disappointment and shame. Many internalize this struggle, blaming themselves for not measuring up. Previous generations compared themselves locally. Today's youth compete with the world. The pressure to keep up is relentless and exhausting. When reality falls short, despair and hopelessness take root. This expectation-reality gap is a major driver of today's youth mental health crisis. The youth mental health crisis affects all of society, not just young people. Poor youth mental health costs the global economy trillions in lost productivity and healthcare. It weakens communities, families, and the fabric of civic life. If today's youth remain less happy as they age, the inverted U-curve could become permanent. The issues, unregulated tech, economic instability, impact everyone, but hit the young first and hardest. This is a wake-up call for parents, educators, and leaders. It's not about blaming young people. It's about recognizing the new challenges they face. We must ask, what is our responsibility to create a healthier environment? Supporting youth mental health is essential for the future of society. Change starts with understanding and action. The crisis is daunting, a seemingly insurmountable challenge that weighs heavily on the shoulders of young people today. It can feel like navigating a maze with no exit, a constant barrage of pressures and expectations. But even in the darkest of times, there are steps we can take. Small, deliberate actions that can lead us towards healing and a brighter future. These steps might seem insignificant at first, but they accumulate over time, creating momentum and paving the way for lasting change. First, reclaim your time from technology. Disconnect to reconnect with yourself and the world around you. Set boundaries. Establish clear limits on your digital consumption to prevent it from consuming you. Track your screen time. Become aware of how much time you're spending online and identify areas where you can cut back. And replace endless scrolling with real-world activities. Engage in hobbies, explore nature, and rediscover the joy of offline experiences. Prioritize face-to-face connection, nurture meaningful relationships with the people around you. Exercise, move your body, and release endorphins to boost your mood and reduce stress. And cultivate hobbies that build genuine self-worth. Pursue activities that bring you joy and allow you to express your creativity and talents. Shift from being a spectator of others' lives to the protagonist of your own. Stop comparing yourself to others online and focus on creating a life that is authentic and fulfilling for you. Be open about your struggles. Don't be afraid to share your challenges and vulnerabilities with trusted individuals. Talk to friends, family, or professionals. Seek support from those who care about you and can offer guidance and understanding. Seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It demonstrates courage and a willingness to prioritize your well-being. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. Recognize the pressures you face aren't your fault. Acknowledge the external factors that contribute to your stress and anxiety. Extend kindness to others. Offer support and compassion to those around you who may be struggling. Reach out if you see someone struggling. A simple gesture of concern can make a world of difference. Small acts of connection can make a big difference, fostering a sense of belonging and shared humanity. Remember, you're not alone in this. There are countless others who share your experiences and understand your struggles. The decline in youth mental health is a massive problem, a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach. But change begins with small, intentional choices. Every positive action, no matter how small, contributes to a larger movement of healing and hope. Together, we can build a healthier, more hopeful reality. By supporting each other and working collaboratively, we can create a world where mental well-being is prioritized and everyone has the opportunity to thrive. The future depends on it. The well-being of future generations hinges on our ability to address the mental health crisis facing young people today.